What's up everyone? So since the last video where I put the hood hinges on the GTO, I've kind of been playing around with adjusting the hood up to get it to fit properly. I've kind of run into a few issues which I'm going to try to fix today. So yeah, let's get to it. I have the hood adjusted pretty good. Seems to fit really nice, and since changing those hood hinges, it closes properly like it should. It almost seems like, and I'm pretty sure there was a dent in the hood somewhere around here. Because the hood got buckled a little bit. So it actually, I think it's actually bowed up a tiny bit right here. So I'm gonna have to try to possibly bend that down. I mean, like I've said before, I already had this car in primer where I thought it was kind of like ready to go and I just had to block sand it. But now that I'm going over it again, there's some things that I don't like about it that I really want to fix. One being the hood hinges, trying to get the hood to fit better. So I got the hood gaps pretty nice. This one's a little wider than I'd like it to be. This one's really nice. I don't know if I can really do too much with that. I mean, I could add some filler to the edge of the fender, just a thin coat to probably take that little bit of a gap up. I may do that. Kind of what I'm working on right now is trying to get these gaps nice. So if you see this one, what they say is if you take a paint stirring stick, that's about the size you want for gaps. You know, like here and here. So here I got it pretty good. It's wide right here a little bit, you can see. You can compare it, and then it goes really nice all the way up here. But this will be easy because I can just add a little bit of filler right to the edge. This hood was actually really rusty when I stripped it down. I ended up changing out, I cut it here, and I replaced this whole section and part of the underneath because it was really rusty. So now one of the issues I've noticed is that now that I have the hood aligned really well, if you take a look right here, you can see this is actually sticking out a little bit from here. Not terrible. So I don't know if I can sand the filler here. I don't know how much filler I put here. I don't think there's very much. So I may end up having to even cut the hood a tiny bit and then push it in and then re-weld it here just to get this lining up better. Plus it's also pretty high here compared to here, which is probably when I put this piece on. So I don't know if I can try to push it down a little bit, or else I might have to, I don't know, cut this, or I can't really raise this up too much more. But that's kind of what I'm doing today, is trying to figure all this stuff out, get all this stuff kind of lined up. The gaps of the doors were all done. They're all really nice and tight. I mean, from the factory, the door gaps are never this tight, never this uniform. That's just because they were mass produced. But usually when you redo it, if you want, of course, you can try to make the gaps all perfect, which is kind of what I'm doing today. So I'll kind of show you some of what I'm doing to try to get those good. And we'll see what else happens. So what I thought I'd do first, or that I'm gonna give a try, is I'm gonna loosen the bolt off that holds the fender to the rad support here. And see if, maybe if I put a shim, now I moved the whole thing. If I could stick a couple shims in there, fender shims, maybe I can lift it up a bit, get rid of some of that gap. I mean, that's the problem. Not the problem, I guess, but the thing is you gotta, see now I moved everything probably. You really gotta play around with the alignment of things. That's why if you ever take your fenders off your car and it has alignment shims underneath, you got to make sure you put them back on in the same spot that they were. Otherwise the fender won't fit. So let's see if that makes a difference. I think it actually did bring it up a bit. You can sort of see that it's up higher now here. So that's better. Like I said, I might be able to just sand some of this out, but I think it's pretty much already at the metal here. I can also add a little bit to this. These are fiberglass, so I could add a little filler to them. Doing that, and then I loosened the bolts that hold this on and I lifted it up a bit. That actually made it a lot better. And actually, it also closed the gap here a little bit. And it also closed it up here, so it's actually a lot tighter than it was before. And I think if I kind of just put some weight on the hood here, I can actually bring it down without really doing any damage. Like I said, I replaced this whole piece, so this is a high spot right here. If you can see where it's all shiny, that's got to be tapped down lightly. But that's a lot better actually. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. So now what I'm gonna have to do is sand this a little bit to open it up. And then, like I said, I'll add a little bit of filler to the edge of this hood here. And that'll take the gap up and close it up and make it really nice. So that side should be pretty good. The other side's gonna be a little more screwing around because it's a little more off. Just gotta massage it a bit. Oh yeah, that's way better now. And that didn't affect nothing here. It's still nice and smooth. Yeah, so I'll show you how I sanded all this, and then I'll have to add some to there. So what you can do is you take your stick, put it in there, and you can see like it's good. Oh, it's actually pretty good. Oh, it's pretty loose, like it's nice right there, and then right as it goes around the corner it gets tighter, and then it gets loose again. So what I'm going to do there, open the hood, and just take this block and just give her a sand. This is fiberglass, so it's easy to sand off, but you don't want to take too much, of course. And I'll tell you, this is why when you take a car to a body shop, it costs so much to paint it and do the body work if you want it, you know, like done like this, because this all takes so much time. That's pretty good. Maybe go a tiny bit more and we should be good. I put a little bit of filler on this edge, and then I also put some here to bring it up a tiny bit, and then I bang that high spot down and put a little bit on there. So we're just gonna wait for that to dry, and then once it dries up, we'll sand it and we'll see how we are. Like it didn't need much at the front here, just a tiny bit for the gap to be nice. And then hopefully we'll get this one good and we can go on to the other side. Since SPPTV can't afford a Lamborghini, I have to make a small one. So I'm also doing that. Okay, so hopefully you can see now the gap is way too small here. I think I'm still gonna have to add a bit. As you can see, it's a lot better. Where's that little piece of wood? So, you know, it fits in here. And then of course it doesn't fit here because now it's way too small. So now I'm just going to sand this lightly. I also added some here to sort of bring it up a bit to make this a little nicer. So yeah, I also got this round Durablock. These Durablocks are really nice. So I'll use the round one because it's got a curve, and sand it. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see, but the gap is really, really nice now. So it's perfect all the way here. And then right at the end, it just gets a little loose. So I'm just gonna add a tiny bit more to probably just like from about there down. I'll add a little bit, and hopefully that'll make it nice, and this side will be done. All right, so I got this side really good. I'm really happy with it. Take you in for a closer look. See how nice the gap is now all the way along. So yeah, super happy with that. That's good. And now we'll move to this side. Now on this side, I've already been playing around with adjusting it a bit. You can see it's not that terrible. Like here it's good, here it's good, and then actually right here is where it kind of gets off. But I was doing some looking, and what I figured out is that it's not so much the hood, it's actually this fiberglass piece. Either I at some point or somebody sanded it, and so it's actually like too small. It's not the hood, it's more this part. So I'm gonna add some fiberglass to this. This is fiberglass. I'm gonna add a little fiberglass to here. Plus I've also figured out that the reason that it doesn't quite line up here is this is also a little on the short side. So I need to add some here and add some here, and hopefully that'll help it. If anything else, I'll have to add some to this side too, a little bit of filler to the edge of the hood to gap it up a little tighter, but it shouldn't be too bad. All right, so it's the next day, and I let that fiberglass dry. Here you can see it. So you can see the gap. Of course, you can't really see the gap, but it's way tighter now. So now I have to sand all this fiberglass down and then bodywork it. So let's do that. I got it sanded down now. So you can see it's way better. I'm gonna add a little more right here, and it's still on the tip here. I have to add a little bit, but it's a lot better, and it's a lot better here. But like I said before, I'm gonna actually add a little filler to the edge of the hood here, and then a little more to here. So which I'm gonna do now. All right, so I got the body filler laid down. So you can see the gap's really nice now. I still have to add a little bit right there, and I added a bit here. So it's getting really good. So now I'm just gonna sand it, and we'll see how it looks. I don't think I'll bother recording the sanding. It's just kind of boring, but we'll see how it turns out. I got that sanded. You can see here how nice it is now. It's pretty good. I still got to add a little bit here, and I still got to add a bit kind of to this edge here. And if you can see close, these like little low spots, I still have to add some filler to. I'm actually using these Durablocks. So I have like this round one, and this one, and I'm using 150 grit sandpaper to sand it. And then I'm also using stuff like just whatever I have laying around, this piece of aluminum round bar. So it's small to get into the tighter corners and stuff. So pretty much just use whatever you can find. I'm using 150 grit, which takes a little longer to sand, but then it also turns out smoother. You could go with like a 60 or 80 grit and then go to like a 150, but I like to take my time and do it this way. And then there's less sanding scratches to sand out. So I'm going to put a little more filler on there and let it dry, and then get it sanded. So now it's actually really good. Take a look at it there. It's nice and level with the hood. The line is really nice. There's that one compared to this one. Actually, now looking at this one, I think I might open this up a tiny bit still, a little extra little bit of sanding, because it's a little tight here compared to here and compared to this side. So probably do that still. And then yeah, so that's pretty much done. I still got to sand this tiny little bit right on the corner there, but that's pretty much done. So then we'll move on to something else. All right guys, so it's the next day. I'm out here working again. I got this pretty much all well and good. Just a little bit of added right there. One little tiny, kind of a low pinhole. After I finish that off, I run my hand along here, and it was kind of low. Kind of high actually right here, a little low here and high here. I guess when I was kind of manipulating this curve and pushing down on it, it probably threw it out of whack a little bit. So I had to use a hammer to tap it down, and now I put a thin coat of filler on. I would have showed it, but I couldn't find my SD card, so I was like, screw it. But then I went in the house and found it. And then there was also those couple little high spots here, so I flattened those out and put a little coat of filler on. So I'm gonna sand all that down now and see how it turns out. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. It was just a little, I'd banged down the high spot, and then it was a little, you know, low, so I put a little filler in there. So hopefully a one coat should do it and get it all straightened out. Turned out actually really good. I just had to add a little bit right there. There was a little tiny high spot right on the edge, which I filed down, and then I had to put a little bit of body filler on. But overall that looks pretty good. So yeah, I'm gonna let that dry and sand it, and that should be good. And then, you know, it's time to move on to something else. I got that all sanded down, as you can see. Looks really nice. That little area there, that turned out okay. The body gap is really nice now at the hood. So is this one. So I'm really happy about that. Next thing to do will be to, there's a couple spots on the hood here, and here that I had put some body filler on. So I'll have to sand that down and then double check over the hood, and then start checking each panel, like this fender, the door. I know the quarter panel, there was some body filler here that I had put on before that I sanded, and down there a little bit. Where it's bare metal here, that actually feels like a little bit of a slight high spot. So I'll have to work that down a little bit. There was a high spot here that I banged down that has to do a little more body work on. Kind of sucks because I had the thing in high build primer already once, obviously, as you can see. And when I started blocking it, I found these spots that I guess I missed. Sometimes it's really hard to find those low spots. You have to really feel with your hand carefully to feel a high spot or a low spot. So sometimes you miss them, but that's why you block sand it, to find any of those imperfections. I think this side should be pretty good because I just did this fender last year, and some of the quarter and door I had done work on the last like year or so. So hopefully this side's pretty good. That side needs a few spots, the hood needs a few spots, and then we should have it ready to reprime. Hopefully in the next video or two, we should hopefully have it ready to prime, but we'll have to wait and see. We also have some other content coming up, shit horse content, working on the engine for it. We got parts coming for it and stuff, so stay tuned for that. And who knows, maybe we'll get some other LS content going, because I know you guys like that. Unfortunately for me, this winter it's working on the GTO. Not unfortunately, really. I really want to get it finished. I know it's just not as exciting as the LS content that I know you guys like. So, but we'll make sure we get some of that going for you, and keep working on this one and try to get it done for springtime. That's the plan anyways. So yeah, like always, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and we'll check you later.